All right, hello everyone. We're back with some Pokemon Draft League Battle Redux videos. This season, I'm not a participant in my draft league. I'm more kind of sitting off the side as an observer and sometimes mentor. So what I'm doing here is some of our participants have volunteered their battles for me to sit back and analyze. So that's what I'm going to do. The first match that we have here is between Gamer Magic and Paledroth. I hope I'm pronouncing that as intended. Sorry, friends. And so I guess I should take a step back and tell you what the idea behind this season of our Battle League was. This season, there wasn't actually too different from a very typical draft. Aside from the fact that before anyone drafted any Pokemon, each participant got to ban a Pokemon from the draft entirely. So if you remember any of my videos from Season 1 or Season 3 where I used Corviknight to very good effect, that was the very first Pokemon that got banned in this season's draft. So I guess that's a compliment. Anyway, so we have two of our competitors here, one of which is very much showing off a rain team. That's on the opposite side of the screen as we're looking at it. And one who's showing a bit more of a balanced team. And just going on... So, each player in this season was allowed to draft 10 Pokemon overall, no more than 3 from our top tier, which is a combination of OU and the best of UU. Oh, I forgot. Mythicals and Legendaries are always banned as well, so that's why you don't see any of them here. It's also why we do our own tiers, especially because we kind of gut OU pretty easily by getting rid of a lot of the Mythicals and Legendaries. Anyway, so we have one player here who had drafted a relatively balanced team of 10, and one person who spent 5 of their picks building a rain team. And yeah, both are absolutely great strategies, especially in a draft league like this. I will say, just knowing what these people's teams were, I might have made a couple of different choices on the balance team if I was building. And the person who picked the rain team had a couple of other supplementary choices, as well as picking Alolan Ninetales and Arctozolt. So if they wanted to, they could have gone with a nice hail complement to whatever other strategy they were working with. But here they come into battle with this rain team. And before we get into the battle itself, I'm actually going to, again, try to give my... I've already given some of my thoughts on the team building, but I'm going to do a little bit more kind of as a first look, and then I'll actually watch the battle off-screen and do a full analysis. So on our balance team here, we've got some super effective attacks in Magnezone and Roserade, and also some nice resists with Gyarados and Salamence. Now, the Sandaconda is potentially questionable because it's weak to water and we're facing a rain team, as that also has Ludicolo for a grass type. But I'm betting, just looking at this right now, that the Sandaconda is there to set up sand as a counter to the rain. We'll have to see how well that works or not. They've also got their Scrafty here, which can be a good choice. You'll notice several of the opposing Pokemon are known for being special walls, but don't necessarily have the best physical defense. They've also got Obstagoon here, which is 4 times weak to fighting. The Scrafty can be a pretty good choice in that sense, but all 3 of the Pokemon that are showing on the rain team right now that I would think of using Scrafty against, the 2 special walls in Mantine and Goodra and the weak to fighting Obstagoon, all of them are faster than Scrafty. So I'm hoping that Gamer Magic here was running a Dragon Dance set on Scrafty, because there's no other real speed control on their team unless, I don't know, maybe Magnezone is running Electro Web, but that's a whole lot more useful in doubles than it is in singles, because there's switching out can just completely remove some of that advantage here in singles. So that's the view from Gamer Magic's side. For Paledroth's team, Pale Droth's team. Obviously, it's a nice, amazing Rain core. They have the Rain Setter and Politoed. 3 other water types that either have Swift Swim or some other rain boosting ability. Gudra, which has Hydration, and also just generally likes being in the rain anyway. It helps deal with some of its other issues. And then their utility Pokemon here, or not utility, coverage, I should say, is Obstagoon. Usually Obstagoon runs Flame Orb Guts. We'll see if that's what they've brought here. And the one thing that's interesting with the Rain team, with the Pokemon that this player drafted, a lot of them look like special attackers. And, I mentioned he also has Alolan Ninetales. Arctozote is a physical attacker, but this person drafted a lot of things that look like special attackers. Now, I say look like because there are some potential surprises or just mixed stuff that happens. Like Gudra, for example, can easily run mixed attacks. You'll see it with Earthquake and Power Whip all the time. Then the interesting thing to potentially watch out for are both Ludicolo and Kingdra are known to potentially run physical sets. Even though they're mostly special attackers, they can absolutely use physical sets. And they're not as common on the ladders in particular, but they're great for catching people off guard. So, for example, Ludicolo, instead of running Giga Drain, Scald, and, Focus Blast or Ice Beam, it'll have Seed Bomb, Liquidation, and, Ice Punch or Drain Punch or something to that effect. Kingdra, on a special team, will usually know Draco Meteor, Hydro Pump, and Hurricane. And Hurricane works great in rain, so that's why you usually see that as opposed to, say, Focus Blast. It can run a physical set, again, with Liquidation or Waterfall, Outrage, or Scale Shot, I think that's the one, and something like Ironhead. Ironhead also actually helps with some of Kingdra's own weaknesses, particularly with fairies. Both of those can run special sets. That's a wild card potentially on this rain team. Otherwise, it's pretty bulky and hopefully can get some good longevity with some help from with some hyper offensive things like Obstagoon, and usually Kingdra is considered hyper offensive as well, depending on exactly what it's doing. That's that team. And that team's kind of analysis. And again, for Gamer Magic, there are some other things they drafted that I thought could have also been good choices. They did draft Metagross, which, Steel doesn't do great against water, but there are some good resistances there, and Metagross does function relatively well in rain. It helps deter the fire types attacks, and in theory can, as long as the rain's up, make the ground types also a little wary. Pale Droth doesn't have fire or ground to worry about, so maybe not having Metagross makes sense. There's also Sylveon. Sylveon hits 3 of the rain team Pokemon that we're seeing right now super effectively. And sure, Gudra is especially defensive, but Sylveon probably would have been an interesting choice to bring as well. That is kind of my first initial look at these teams. I'm going to take a quick break here and actually watch the battle to see how it goes. Actually, let's just watch as we go. I'll do a first quick... We'll go in now and we'll watch this battle just very quickly to see how it plays out. I'll just give first impressions, reactions to it, and then we'll dial back and watch that battle in more detail to give more analysis on everything that happens. So right now, I'm just coming in as a spectator, and we'll see how this goes. Oh, that's music. Ooh, that's not too loud. All right, Perish Song right away. That's interesting. But he got the rocks up. Is that Defog? It is Defog. Okay. Whoa, wait a minute. Oh, Sunny Day. That's interesting. Okay. Sandaconda knows Sunny Day. I did not know that. Okay. There's a good predict with the drizzle. And, ooh, it's a Sash. Oh, what a burrow. Jeez. Unfortunate. All right, well, there's sand is up for the moment, and the rain setter is down. Okay, so the weather wars here seem to be largely over. Um, oh, okay, maybe that's a scarf. Oh, you know what? Yeah, Moxie Scarf is pretty common. One of our other players did that a lot. I forget if it was season 1 or season 3, but they did it with Crocodile. And yeah, this is, aside from Mantine, this is pretty much a sweep at this point. And I forget, is Mantine already hurt? No, but it's paralyzed. And he's let the Moxie go all the way up. I would have probably sent out Mantine initially before all of those Moxie boosts happened. Actually, so yeah, there's almost not much to go on in this battle. It's 15 turns for 7 KOs, so about a KO every other thing, especially after some of the initial changing. Let's just go right back, play through it again. So going with the leads, both of these leads make sense. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm not sure I would have led off with Sandaconda. Again, it depends on the set that it's using, and now we know it's a sunny day set, which is very interesting for me. And I'm pretty sure it also knows Sand Spit, because we did see the sand rise out not too long ago. But obviously, setting Stealth Rocks on turn 1 is usually something good to do. But if this is your weather setter, and you really want to use it to save or to counter your opponent's weather because you know they're running a rain team, I wouldn't necessarily have led off with that. I would have maybe tried to do some utility with some of your other Pokemon. Because if this Politoed had used Scald on turn 1, that could have very well gotten rid of Sand. We know now it has a Focus Sash on it, but that really cuts into its longevity if it took a Scald on turn 1, especially since that Scald would have been under rain, unless this thing happened to have used Sunny Day on its first turn. So, a lot of interesting questions. I wouldn't necessarily have let off with it. I would have saved my weather counter for later. But also, I'm surprised that Perish Song came in, except maybe Palindrome was already accepting the switch, because, again, I would not have wanted to lead or keep Sandaconda in if it was me. We actually know the win already worked out in its favor, so it's not a huge loss. But very interesting. I'm sure Palindrome was probably predicting the switch there, which is why he used Perish Song instead of Scald. And so then we get Mantine out, who's going to be here for doing the defog. Now, Sandaconda used Scald or Glare. Again, I'm shocked that the Scald didn't happen. I'm shocked that the switch didn't happen. Because there was nothing really threatening the Politoed, aside from, again, you maybe want to save your weather setter for later, but I don't think there was a big rush there to get it out. Aside from its own Perish count, maybe, but you have 3 turns to worry about that. Mantine out here obviously has heavy-duty boots, which is a great choice for if you have a defogger. You kind of want to make sure you can send them into Stealth Rocks. And it gets paralyzed, so again, I'm surprised Sandaconda didn't switch out. I'm not sure what he was predicting to come in, unless he was, again, just trying to do for some utility there and paralyze something. Which, considering... Oh, hello. There was a big flash outside a moment ago. I don't think it's raining. Sorry about that. He has multiple swift swimmers here, so having Glare does make sense in that issue. So here comes the switch. Oh, okay, so it wasn't Sandaconda with Sunday. Scrambled Gem is our Magnezone. There we go. I didn't know it got that. Ooh, okay, there's an interesting thing. Acid Armor on Goodra. That's pretty darn nice, considering Goodra is known as especially defensive. Normally, I'm not someone who is a proponent of spending a turn to patch your own weaknesses. But we're talking about a pseudo-legendary here. You kind of can get away with it that time. Like if this was a Dragalge, I wouldn't necessarily spend the time to use Acid Armor, because Dragalge's defense is super low. Goodra's defense is already respectable. It's not what it's best at, but it's respectable. So getting the Acid Armor in, you got a nice setup here. Now, let's see. For Gamer Magic Switch, obviously Volt Switch is nice. You can actually do damage instead of just doing a turn purely on the Switch. So got some chip in there. Scrafty coming out. I'm not again, not sure I would have done that. He might have been scared of a Fire Blast or just thinking something else was better for this. I'm probably just thinking that the Scrafty was better here. He sees the leftover, so knockoff makes sense. Unfortunately, here comes the body press, and I mentioned earlier that, oh geez, whoops. Not what I meant to do. Sorry about that, y'all. Alright, here we were. Body press works out well if you're boosting your defense. And we got, even though body press uses your defense to attack, or to do its score as opposed to your physical attack, there's a little bit of that mixed attacking thing that I mentioned with Gudra previously. But we do get the knockoff, so the leftovers are gone. I think there was a switch here. Yes, another switch. And Gudra switched out there. That one I'm not sure about unless he was anticipating an Ice Punch. Also, they were teasing each other about the weather, so getting the weather back. And, okay, there's got to be lightning or thunder going on outside. It's impressive. There's no thunder, it's just lightning. Unless there's something else going on. Rain in the battle, and maybe rain outside. Anyway, so we're back basically to turn 1 here. And at this point, actually having the Sandaconda send out, because it was sunny when it happened. I'm not sure if he predicted the Sandaconda coming out, but it worked out well. He got the sand down. Sand Spit worked out there to get the sand up. And here's where I was about to, I mentioned in the first watch that this was a point where I absolutely would have switched. We've already seen Sunny Day and Volt switch on this Magnezone. I'm not sure why we didn't switch back out into Gudra, because that happens. Now, both people have lost their weather setters, and this balanced team is way better under neutral weather than a rain team without its rain. That's just how it goes. Now, of course, that's not really what ended up being the tipping point of the battle. As we saw the first walkthrough, this Scrafty just goes crazy. And Obstruct on Obstagoon. There are certainly situations where that's really useful. I don't see that in competitive a lot. So that move surprises me a little bit. Now we had, what was it? Yeah, we had Magnezone out. It doesn't really make sense for Obstagoon to use Obstruct on Magnezone. There's not a big overlap there. Actually, maybe I'm thinking the wrong thing with Obstruct. Let me check one thing here. I'm making sure I'm not talking out my ass. Oh, okay, yeah, I'm thinking of something completely. I might have been thinking of, what was I thinking of? It was a move that blocks similar moves. Okay, so turns from most attacks and the Pokemon trying to make contact. Okay, so it's Protect that also can lower defense. Alright, that's actually not a move I'm familiar with. Okay, so that makes a bit more sense. It's a protection move that lowers defense. So, okay. Oh, okay, that would have been great on Magnezone, because that would lower its defense for an easy comeback attack. Especially if it knows close combat or knockoff, and it is the burn, so we got... And again, there's an opportunity for a switch again. Whether it went to Ludicolo or Kingdra, maybe not sending in Mantine, because obviously Mantine has the resistance, so you want to save that for a free switch as opposed to taking an attack. But both Ludicolo and Kingdra should have been faster. Of course, again, I think we know now that this Scrafty had the Scarf. That's how it outsped Obstagoon in the first place. Because I bet Obstagoon was going to do some sort of Facade or Close Combat and, in theory, take it out. But once this Scarfer Moxie comes in, Now, right here, this was their main chance to send in Mantine and get a Hurricane. But at this point, it's GG, basically, especially with Moxie snowballing at this point. So, yeah, interesting mix of teams here. The Weather Wars ended a lot sooner than I thought it would, just because both weather users got taken out in consecutive turns. Interesting battle. We didn't even get to see Gyarados and Salamence in action, so I don't even know. Oh wow, okay, yeah, it's definitely raining, and that is lightning. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next battle, because I know nothing about their sets. Let's see, all part of a balanced breakfast. What else was there? Just GG. All right, yeah. Can't believe it offers absolutely zero downside. I wouldn't say that. It happened to work out well, but I think Paildroth had an opportunity to take out this Scrafty. Because right after Obstagoon went down, you had a full health Mantine ready that would have resisted. Now, again, Mantine isn't known for physical defense, but you had to take that opportunity to try to get Scrafty out before it snowballed like it did. So that was the real turning point, I think, in that battle. All right, and so now let's go in and take a look at their next battle. And here's their next battle. All right, so Gamer Magic has shown up again with the exact same team as before. Paildroth has done a large number of switches. You've got 3 from the previous team, Gouda, Obstagoon, and Mantine. But now you've got Doublade, Garchomp, and Ninetales. I'm surprised to see Ninetales without Arctozolt. Especially because, yeah, Arctozolt would have helped for almost everything on Gamer Magic's team except for Magnezone. Now again, Arctozolt under Hail would still probably be slower. Well, no. That's a double speed. Scarf on Scrafty is only a 50% increase. So that still would have been a good... it still would have outsped, and Boltbeak could have done a big amount of damage on a Scrafty. So yeah, I'm surprised to not see Arctozolt. But let's try to predict what's going on with these other Pokemon that we haven't seen yet. So both Salamence and Gyarados, those are usually physical attackers. Salamence can sometimes run special stuff. But they're both often setup sweepers. They both know Moxie as well, actually, now that I think about it. So the rules of our draft league mean say that no Pokemon can hold the same items. No Pokemon on your team can hold the same items. So it's not like we can give Scarf to Gyarados or Salamence to make sure they're fast. They're both naturally faster than Scrafty is, but they're not so fast that I would like to lock them in with a choice item, like a choice Scarf or even a choice Band, because other things could relatively easily outspeed them with the right set. So I'm kind of expecting both of these to run Dragon Dance, unless this is a, special attacking Salamence. On the other side now, the new Pokemon that we're seeing, Doublade is obviously going to be running Eviolite. The question after that, is it a Swords Dance set, or is it more, or does it try to go with more coverage moves? Let's see, we've got Garchomp. Garchomp is interesting. Again, it's another single legendary. It has a lot of different things it can do, mostly physical attacking stuff, but I've also seen utility Garchomps. And then there's the Ninetales here. Normally you like to see that on Hail teams. Ninetales can run Aurora Veil sets, Nasty Plot sets, or both. Considering it's the only Ice type on this team, I'm betting it does not have a Light Play, and has some other item to try to take advantage of. But yeah, I'm surprised that there's no Arctozolt here. But it's a complete shift for the team. So that could easily take Gamer Magic off balance, take them by surprise. And yeah, let's see how this one progresses. Again, let's not... There's the thunder. That's impressive. Anyway, alright, we'll not have the music here so it doesn't override my talking. Again, just like last time, we'll do a quick watch of the battle and then do a deeper analysis as we go. Same lead on... Yep, okay, and that was... I'm surprised there already. I shouldn't stop the battle, just keep things going as it does. Okay, here comes the hail. Endure, interesting. Alright, and there was a wasted endure. Well, not wasted, I should say. Okay, well, hang on. Now we can use endure again because it failed once. But Mantine comes out. Magnezone. Okay, that's a relatively good swap. Defog comes in. Okay, it still makes the kill. That makes sense because it's 4 times weak. So even though it's specially defensive and had the Aurora Veil, doesn't... Okay, yeah, definitely not a Light Clay. Ooh, Dragon Claw. And it survived, and the Body Press gets in. That's impressive. Alright, is this a... Ooh, Gooey. Gooey is hurting this team. Life Orb set. Got it. And there, yeah... There wasn't much to take a Blizzard, although Magnezone was an option. I'm kind of surprised there. The Aurora Veil goes up. Paralysis is being spread. That works out well. Oh no! Bad time for the process if you're expecting... Ooh! Interesting. If you're expecting the Endure. Alright. There's the Power Whip, but that's not going to help much. Wow, okay. Even this Paralyzed Garchomp is doing damn numbers. But, oh wow. I would have used Earthquake right there. If he had it. Oh, he doesn't have it. That surprises me. And okay, so at this point, yeah, Magnezone is the only one left. Magnezone can help here. Although Obstagoon's going to be real tough. Oh, ooh, okay. Moderately makes sense. Oh, okay, Pain Split. Still takes it down. With this, getting the burn, yeah, and then, oh yeah, because he had no hazard control. Interesting. All right, so in the hail there didn't like the hail was there enough to set up Aurora Veil a couple times. But even that didn't help a lot. So it was almost... the hail was almost a distraction. You can't necessarily think of that as a weather team here. It was just kind of a side bonus, which was interesting use. But let's go through in more detail now. So we get the same lead for Gamer Magic as before, which makes more sense in this battle than it did when it was a full rain team. Because if you want to make sure... this thing's Sand Spit works. You don't want it taking attacks against rain, but Obstagoon was the first one up. And again, I'm honestly really surprised they did use Obstruct because they know that this thing has Glare and Stealth Rock, so that's a somewhat of a free turn there. By Paleoth using Obstruct as opposed to a more damaging attack. Like he could have broken the Sash with Knockoff or something. But yeah, he also could have, if he was expecting Glare. Well, actually, yeah, Glare would have worked on anything on the team. That's right. It's not electric. That's right. All right. So yeah, I don't know. I almost. I wouldn't have sent out Doublade because even though it's slow and doesn't mind being paralyzed, it doesn't like ground attacks. I forget if the last battle, did they actually use all of the attacks? No. So there's no way of knowing that this had Endure and Body Press on it. Off the bat. So I bet he's expecting Earthquake, which is why he's not sending Doublade there to take a Glare. Rocks comes out. Parting Shot, interesting. It gives you the switch. And especially if you're paralyzed, it gives you the slow switch, which is great. And yeah, he was expecting attack to get the sand up, and that didn't work. And to get right there, I would not have used Endure. I would have played it safe and sent out something to put more pressure on. Now, I almost never see a Ninetales with Heal Bell, so that's very interesting. But Gamer Magic got lucky that there was no Blizzard coming in that turn. I honestly think that was what happened there. So I think we get the switch here on both sides. Yes. And so even with the Aurora up, this next attack makes the kill. I'm betting Pale Drothel was expecting to survive at least one attack just because of being specially bulky and having the Veil up. But that 4 times damage does a lot, especially coming from a Magnezone, which are known for special attacking. Not just that they use special attacks, but they actually have a really high special attack stat. And here, now, this makes a ton more sense. I maybe would have just done the swap myself earlier. Probably going for the paralysis there. Yeah, I probably would have done the switch to Scrafty earlier, because at 3 times defense, even with a critical hit, it survives. And now you've got this thing going on. And I would not have used Outrage there. Considering we've already seen Gooey on this thing, I would have used some other attack that would have given you options of what to do next. Especially because we do know that this Salamence is a life orb, if I correctly. Yes. So you're not locked in to any of these attacks. I would have done something other than Outrage, because even if it had 3 times defense, I'm betting it would have been knocked out by whatever other attack might have been used. Do not think you needed to use Outrage right there to get the kill, because now you're locked in and you're slow. Ninetales comes in, gets the free kill. And just looking at what is left on the team, that Salamence was going to be your key for Garchomp. You had other physical attackers to potentially take on Goodra, but losing the Salamence is probably where you lost your linchpin in this battle. There are certainly ways to get past Garchomp and Obstagoon with what you have left, but the momentum is now solidly on Pale Droth's side. So the Aurora Veil goes up. Sunny Day isn't quick enough to get the Aurora Veil down, and interesting swap. And now here comes the rocks on both sides. Neither person can get rid of them, but that's going to be important coming through. Actually, was the Gyarados? We'll see the Gyarados in a little bit. I don't remember if it was heavy duty boots or not. Yeah. I'm not sure if... Oh yeah, Endure was necessary because Swords Dance was up. Yeah, I know Sandaconda has a nice physical defense stat already, but with a boosted Garchomp, you certainly wanted to Endure if an attack was coming in. But that was probably an unfortunate time for Gamer Magic for the Garchomp to actually be paralyzed. Because he wanted the attack to come in, set up the sand, I assume. But setting up sand probably wasn't a good option with Ninetales still alive. I maybe would have done a swap. Or have just let a free kill come in and you got your own switch. Because now you've just lost your Roserade as well. Now, Power Whip comes in. I don't know if this Gyarados had a water attack or not. I would have used a water attack. Because both water and grass hit Garchomp neutrally, but at least you get stabbed with your water attack. And if it was Waterfall, I would have absolutely done it, because then you get the Paraflinch possibility. But I don't know what other moves this Gyarados has. Waterfall is good. Sometimes Liquidation is good, but considering Gyarados likes to go fast, I think Waterfall is better. And yeah, we don't get to see much more with Gyarados here. And then unfortunately this is Body Press instead of Earthquake, because Earthquake would have been great. I'm guessing it knows Body Press because he's trying to plan on Obstagoon. And there's not a lot to deal with Obstagoon. Well, You obviously had Scrafty. Yeah, since you already had your physical attacker, your fighting attacker, I should say, probably would have made more sense to use an Earthquake instead of um, Body Press. Uh, honestly, on both situations, because at least you get stabbed on the Earthquake. I mean, it's not going to be great against Ludicolo and can't hit Mantine, but of everything else, you're getting more damage from Earthquake than you are from Body Press, except for Obstagoon, and you have an option for Obstagoon. So yeah, unfortunate that it didn't have Earthquake here, because that would have probably would have made the kill and also not had the rough skin problem. Now there was good, at least he knows that Aurora Veil is a possibility, so using Body Press there is a little bit better than trying to endure waiting for the Blizzard, because now you have that opportunity, which occurs, but of course now you're down at 1 health with rocks up. So honestly, I would have kept Sandaconda in there, because not only can you not send Sandaconda back out, but you've given Magnezone extra damage. So I would not have made that swap right there. At this point, it doesn't matter considering how much is left. But that's just advice if the situation was a little bit different. That would not have been a good time to swap. I would have just done it as a sacrificial KO there. Because right about here, I think we get knock off. Yep. And we're down to the end. So yeah, those were the two battles. The first two battles for me to now analyze for this season's draft league. I hope you guys enjoyed this analysis. I hope my two friends watching this get value out of it and don't feel any offense on any particular criticisms mentioned. These battles were split, and we got to see some interesting strategies. It's really interesting here, I think, how the actual Weather Rain team got jumped by Scarf Scrafty, and then not having the weather, and having just... I guess I would call this another balance team, and just took out the biggest threats in Salamence and Scrafty early on. So that's what that was done really well. And I'm trying to think, if I had seen this team, if I were Gamer Magic and wanted to make any particular swaps, again, we didn't know what Sandaconda had, and we didn't know if Palodroth was going to make changes. So considering Ludicolo, Mantine, and Obstagoon were here, I guess it kind of makes sense to have kept Body Press instead of Earthquake. But that might have been a change you could have considered, especially since Palodroth was taken aback by the surprise Scrafty. So probably could assume some changes would have been made, including maybe moving to the Ice team. Because, you've got your Salamence and your Scrafty, neither of which like Ninetales. So, yeah, switching Body Press to Earthquake, well, I don't know. Lots of other potentially interesting things there. I'm just shocked that Sunny Day is even a possibility on Magnezone. Interesting move. And it worked Battle 1, and it helped Battle 2. Just Magnezone wasn't quick enough to get before the Aurora Veils the time that it happened. Since we didn't even get to see 3 of the Pokemon over here, I can't give any advice on what moveset changes would have been sensible based on the team that you saw. But yeah, Palodroth, absolutely great switch up and the planning there. Again, I think there were a couple of questionable moves I mentioned on this battle as well, but you came out through in the end with a good victory, especially with the rocks being put up relatively late in the game. Also, again, rocks are typically early game moves, but both of these sets of rocks were late, or later, I should say, and it worked again, particularly with that Sandaconda thing I mentioned at the very end. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Again, hope everyone enjoyed. Hope if my two friends watch this, they value the commentary. and I will see you all later. Bye.